The floating city above Titan looked like a crown made of steel and light. It hung in the black sky, bright and quiet, far away from the noise of Earth. This was Crimson Ring, the most powerful trade city in the outer colonies. Ships came and went every hour. Credits flowed like rivers. People whispered about the man who ruled this place, and Victor Sloan. Victor was not just any man. He was a leader of the most feared criminal network in this part of the galaxy. He never raised his voice. He never needed to. When he walked through a room, people grew silent. Some said he built his power with intelligence, not just strength. Others said he knew everything that happened in his city. Every deal, every lie, every hidden hand. But Victor did not trust anyone completely. Not his guards, not his allies, not even the people who served him inside his own house. A suspicion begins. Victor lived in a tall glass tower at the center of the city. The tower rose high, touching the stormy sky of Titan. It was beautiful, quiet, and secure. Only a few trusted maids and staff were allowed to enter his private floors. These maids were loyal. They cleaned his house, prepared his meals, arranged his meetings, and kept his world calm. But for the past few weeks, Victor had noticed something strange. The maids whispered softly at night when they thought no one was listening. They moved quickly when he walked into a room. They sometimes carried things in covered trays that were never meant for the kitchen. He did not know what they were hiding. But Victor was a man who never ignored secrets, so he made a quiet plan. The test it was the night of the lunar eclipse gala, one of the grandest events in the city. Everyone important was out. The governors, the business leaders, even some of Victor's closest allies. But Victor stayed home. He told the world he was tired. At 10 p.m., Victor returned to his private chamber, a large and quiet room with silver walls and soft lights. His black coat hung on the wall. His boots were lined up perfectly at the door. He lay down on the bed and closed his eyes. He wasn't really sleeping. He was listening. The room was quiet for a long time. Then, just after midnight, the door opened with a soft click. Two of his maids entered. He recognized their footsteps, Ilara and Mina. They were always gentle and careful, never loud. Victor kept his breathing slow and even, pretending to be deep in sleep. The whispering Ilara whispered first. "He's asleep," she said softly. "We have to hurry," Mina replied. "Are you sure he didn't notice today?" "He was watching us, and he always watches," Ilara answered. "But he doesn't know about the vault." "No one does?" The word vault made Victor's heartbeat slow down even more. He didn't move. He didn't even open his eyes a little. He let their voices paint the picture. Mina walked closer to the table. "We can't keep it hidden much longer. The delivery is tomorrow night." "If he finds out before then, he won't," Ilara said quickly. "We've kept it secret for months. If he knew, we wouldn't be standing here." Then Victor heard something that made the air around him feel heavy. Mina whispered, "Project Echo must stay safe." The name repeated in Victor's head. Project Echo. He had never heard of it before. And Victor knew everything in this house. Everything. For the first time in many years, Victor felt something new inside his chest. Uncertainty. The hidden message Ilara opened a small communication device. Victor could hear the faint sound of beeps. She spoke in a calm, practiced voice. "The target area is clear. He's asleep. Move everything tomorrow at 0200 hours. No delays." Then silence. Mina sighed. "What if he finds out after we move it?" "Then we'll be gone," Ilara whispered. "And Project Echo will live." The two maids stayed in the room for only 5 minutes. Then they left quietly. The door closed behind them and the room returned to silence. But Victor was wide awake. The calm before the storm, Victor sat up slowly, careful not to make any sound. His mind worked fast. If they were planning to move something, then it meant there was something inside his tower he didn't know about. That was impossible, but it was true. He walked to the window and looked out at the city. Lights flickered in the distance. Cargo ships hovered above the space docks. The storm clouds on Titan swirled like smoke. Victor had built this empire with order and control. But someone had built a secret inside it. Someone he trusted. He turned away from the window and walked to a hidden panel behind his desk. With a soft click, a screen appeared. It showed all the security cameras in the tower. He replayed the footage from the last few nights. The maids had entered parts of the lower levels that he thought were locked. He leaned closer. At exactly 2 a.m. the night before, they had carried something down the service lift, a crate, covered in white cloth. They had been careful to avoid the main corridors. Interesting, Victor whispered to himself. Watching the shadows the next day, Victor acted as if nothing had happened. He attended his morning meeting. He drank his black coffee. He read reports from his trading ships. He walked through the house with calm steps, nodding politely to the maids, but his eyes followed every movement. Ilara and Mina worked as usual. Their faces showed no fear, no stress, but Victor could feel the tension. Their steps were too quick, their hands too careful. At 9 p.m., he called one of his bodyguards, a quiet man named Hale. "Do not follow me tonight," Victor ordered. "But make sure no one leaves the tower without me knowing." Hale nodded. He did not ask questions. The descent at 1:45 a.m., Victor dressed in black. No lights, no noise. He walked down the service stairway, avoiding the main lifts. Every step echoed softly against the metal walls. He moved like a shadow through his own house. It was strange. He knew every room here, yet tonight it felt like a stranger's home. When he reached the lowest level, he stopped. There, behind a metal door, he heard soft footsteps, the voices of Ilara and Mina again. "Everything's ready," Ilara whispered. "Once we open the vault..." "There's no going back," Mina said nervously. Victor stayed hidden in the dark, his heartbeat steady. Then he heard the soft sound of a code being entered. The metal door slid open. A warm light spilled into the hallway. He stepped forward quietly and saw something he did not expect. Behind the door, the walls were lined with strange silver containers. The air smelled clean, like new machinery. In the center was a heavy vault door with glowing blue lights. This was inside his own house, but he had never seen it before. A shock in the dark, Victor didn't move closer. He listened. Ilara placed her hand on the glowing panel. "Project Echo must survive. We can't let anyone find out. Not even him. Especially not him," Mina whispered. The vault door clicked open slowly. A cold mist flowed out. Victor felt the air grow still. He couldn't see what was inside yet, but he knew. This wasn't gold or weapons or credits. It was something else. Something powerful. He had ruled the city for 10 years. He had seen betrayal, greed, and power games, but this felt different. He stepped back into the shadows as they carried something small and white out of the vault. Their hands shook, but their eyes were full of quiet determination. They weren't stealing. They were protecting. Victor didn't stop them. Not yet. The frozen moment as the maids disappeared into the tunnel beyond the vault. Victor stood alone in the cold hallway. His chest felt heavy, not with anger, but with surprise. He had built walls around himself, but these two young women had walked through those walls without him even noticing. For the first time in years, Victor Sloan didn't feel like the man who controlled everything. He felt like the man standing outside a secret. And he knew one thing clearly. Project Echo was not just a name. It was the beginning of something much bigger than him. He turned and walked back up the stairs quietly. He did not give an order. He did not wake the guards, because some battles are not won with force. They are won with patience. And tomorrow night, when the maids made their move, Victor would be waiting. The night on Titan was quiet again. The storm outside the city had faded, leaving the floating towers shining like silver lanterns in the dark. But inside the tower of Victor Sloan, nothing felt calm. Victor walked through the top floor of his house like a silent shadow. His face gave away nothing, but his mind was sharp. Every image from the night before replayed in his thoughts. The whispered words of Ilara and Mina, the glowing vault beneath his house, the cold mist spilling from the door, and the name that burned into his memory. Project Echo. He had ruled this city for years. He had faced enemies, rivals, and betrayals. But this was different. It wasn't greed. It wasn't a power grab. It was something hidden, fragile, and dangerous. Tonight they would try to move it, and he would find out the truth. The waiting game Victor spent the entire day pretending that everything was normal. He met traders in the morning, reviewed shipment lists at noon, and inspected his security network at sunset. His guards didn't notice anything unusual. No one knew what was happening except Victor himself. He moved slowly through his office, tapping on the screen hidden in his desk. The security feeds showed the same pattern as last night. The maids did their usual tasks during the day, But when night approached, their movements grew more careful. At exactly 9 p.m., Ilara entered the lower hallway with Mina close behind. They carried nothing in their hands, but Victor could see the tension in their steps. They didn't look scared. They looked determined. He turned off the screen and stood. "Hail," he said to his guard. "No one enters or leaves the tower tonight without my voice." "Understood?" Hale nodded. He didn't ask questions. He never did. The descent into the hidden at 1:45 a.m. Victor left his room dressed in black again. No sound, no light. He moved down the narrow service stairway, following the same path as the night before. His footsteps echoed softly on the metal steps. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. He could already hear soft mechanical sounds, the humming of the vault systems hidden far below the luxury floors. He reached the bottom and stopped in the shadows. The same door stood before him, but this time it was wide open. The vault room was glowing with soft blue light. Ilara and Mina were inside, opening one of the containers. A soft mist filled the room. Their faces were pale but calm. Victor didn't rush in. He watched. He wanted to understand before he acted. The secret revealed Mina carefully lifted something from the container. It was a small cryopod shaped like a capsule. Inside, Victor saw a child, asleep, breathing slowly under the clear cover. He felt something deep in his chest, a feeling he hadn't felt in years. Not fear, not anger, something quieter, something heavier. There wasn't just one pod. There were many, lined up along the walls like quiet stars in the dark. Each one held a child sleeping in silence. Some looked no older than 5. Ilara placed her hand on one of the pods and whispered, "We're almost there. Just a few more minutes." Mina's hands shook slightly as she adjusted the controls. "Do you think they'll make it to the ship in time?" "They will," Ilara answered. "We have to believe that." Victor stepped closer now, letting his voice break the silence. "What exactly," he said softly, "are you doing in my house?" The two women froze. Their heads snapped toward the doorway. Ilara's eyes widened. Mina almost dropped the pod she was holding, but caught it just in time. "Boss," Mina whispered, her voice weak. Victor walked forward slowly. His face was calm, but his dark eyes watched every move. "You've been very busy," he said. "Hiding something like this beneath my feet." Ilara took a deep breath. She stepped between him and the pods as if trying to protect them. "Please," she said quietly, "don't call the guards." The truth of Project Echo Victor stopped just a few steps away. "You're not thieves," he said. "You're not trying to take money. So what is this?" Ilara's hands tightened at her sides. "They're not things," she whispered. "They're children. I can see that," Victor replied. His voice was calm but sharp. "The real question is why?" Mina finally spoke, her voice trembling. "These children were taken from transport ships outside the ring. They were going to be sold. We couldn't let that happen." Victor's eyes narrowed. "Sold where?" "To the outer colonies," Mina said. "They never come back from there. We heard stories. We saw the lists, so we took them." Ilara stepped forward, her back straight. "We didn't have anywhere else to hide them. If the city authorities found out, they'd send them back. If the syndicates found out, they'd use them. So we built the vault. We've been keeping them alive." Victor stood in silence. The room felt heavy with their words. Ilara met his eyes. "Project Echo isn't a crime. It's hope. A dangerous choice." Victor looked at the rows of sleeping children. Their faces were peaceful, unaware of the cold world above them. He had seen many things in his life: betrayal, greed, endless fights for power. But this was different. This was quiet bravery, hidden under the nose of the most feared man on Titan. He turned back to Ilara. "And what happens now? You run away? You disappear with them?" Ilara nodded slowly. "There's a ship waiting beyond the docks. If we can get them there tonight, they'll be free. There's a safe colony on Europa. No syndicates. No markets. Just people who'll protect them." Mina whispered, "Please don't stop us." Victor took a long breath. Every instinct he had was built on control. Control of people, control of information, control of his world. But for the first time, he felt something new. A reason not to stop it. The unexpected decision. He looked down at one of the pods again. A small hand was pressed against the inside of the glass. Victor didn't know why, but that sight felt louder than any speech. You built all of this, he said softly, right under my feet. If I were the man everyone believes I am, you'd already be gone. Mina's breath caught in her throat. Ilara stared at him, waiting for his command. Victor slowly raised his eyes to hers. But maybe the man they believe I am isn't the man I need to be tonight. Mina blinked. What? Victor turned toward the door and pressed the security panel. The vault door slid shut with a hiss. The blue lights dimmed slightly. He locked the system from the inside. Then he spoke in a quiet, controlled tone. We do this my way now. Ilara stiffened. Boss, no, Victor interrupted. If you try to move this many pods through the docks alone, you'll be caught in minutes. The syndicates control every gate. The city guards are paid to watch everything, but He paused, his voice calm as ice. I control the syndicates. A new alliance. The two women stared at him, unsure if this was a trap or a miracle. I will get you to the ship, Victor continued. But on one condition. You never lie to me again? Mina's voice cracked. You'd help us? Victor looked at her with steady eyes. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for them. He nodded toward the children. They didn't choose this. I did not give them this world. But maybe I can change a small part of it, Ilara whispered. Why? Victor gave a small, cold smile. Because even a man with power gets tired of watching the world burn. The escape plan, they worked quickly. Victor called Hale on a secure line. Prepare the east landing pad. No guards, no scanners. This is a private transport. Hale didn't question the order. He never did. Mina and Ilara carefully lifted the pods onto anti-gravity platforms. Victor personally checked every corridor on the path to the docks. His knowledge of the tower made their movements invisible. They moved through service shafts, quiet stairways, and maintenance lifts. Not one camera caught them. Not one guard saw their faces. For the first time, Victor wasn't protecting his empire. He was protecting something else entirely. A narrow path. When they reached the landing pad, the storm had returned. Wind swirled around the dome and the city lights below flickered. A small silver transport ship waited in the dark. Mina whispered, This is it. Victor nodded. You have 10 minutes before patrols notice something missing. After that, no one can help you, Ilara stared at him. Why are you really doing this? Victor looked out at the black horizon. When I was young, he said softly, someone saved me. Not because I deserved it, but because they could. I never forgot that. Now it's my turn. The departure, they loaded the last pod onto the ship. The engines began to hum. Mina wiped a tear from her face, but her hands were steady on the controls. Ilara walked to Victor. If anyone finds out, they'll blame you. Victor gave a quiet laugh. Let them try. She hesitated, then said, You're not who we thought you were. No, Victor said. I'm not even sure who I am anymore. The ship lifted slowly into the dark sky, disappearing beyond the storm. The children were gone, safe, free, and far away from the city that had tried to trap them. A new dawn. Victor stood alone on the landing pad, the wind blowing against his coat. The city below still belonged to him. The syndicate still whispered his name with fear. But something inside him had changed. Project Echo had begun as a secret against him. Now it had become the first thing he truly believed in. He walked back into his tower with quiet steps. No one knew what he had done that night. But he didn't need them to know. Some power doesn't need to be seen. It only needs to protect. And for the first time in years, Victor Sloan felt something close to peace.